As you may recall from episode 1, Nietzsche has explicitly used the term blonde beast to refer to the Aryan founders of Roman civilization. Yet in this quote, he mentions Arabian civilization, and, most interestingly, Japanese nobility, claiming at the center of them too is the blonde beast. Here, a contemporary scholar lists all of Nietzsche's references to the blonde beast, and their allegedly different meanings. The first quote the scholar fails to mention is the only one that actually uses the word lion in translation. The other three don't mention the word lion at all, and seem to correspond perfectly to mean what Nietzsche claims they mean: the primordial, blonde, Aryan race. In the 1940s, Nazi-era scholar Hans Gunther professed a similar belief in the Aryan origin of the Japanese samurai class, as did Nazi SS leader Heinrich Himmler, as one can read here. Many will argue these are far-fetched ideas. After all, one might present a picture of a contemporary Japanese imperial family and point out their undeniable East Asian phenotypes. But is it possible that over a millennia ago, the earliest Japanese nobles, the samurai class, and the imperial family looked more like Nordic men than the East Asian nobility that appears to us today? And is this transformation from a founding minority of Aryans to an established population of non-Aryans a common occurrence in world history? Welcome to episode 2 of the Aryan Founder series, The Origins of Japan and Korea. Part 1, Prehistory of Japan. Japanese civilization was a late bloomer. Before 300 BCE, the Nihon archipelago was a land of pit-dwelling hunter-gatherers known as the Jomon. To put that date into perspective, the Greek philosopher Socrates was born around 470 BCE, and many of the pre-Socratics dating to before 500 BCE. Today, the genetic ancestors of the Jomon are the Ainu. Anthropological analysis indicates the Jomon were likely an Austronesian people, racially akin to the Australian Aborigine, but adapted for the Japanese archipelago. Sometime before 300 BCE, a mass migration of a new ethnic group changed the human landscape. We refer to this ethnic group today as the Yayoi. Though we do not know what they called themselves, some historians suggest the Yayoi originated from what the Zhou dynasty of China referred to as the semi-barbarian Yu state, south of the Yangtze. These people, indigenous to the region, were yet to be Sinified by the Zhou, and likely spoke an Austroasiatic language, possibly related to today's Vietnamese. A 2019 genetic study found that the modern Japanese take nearly 90% of Japanese DNA from these Yayoi immigrants, suggesting that they form the Asiatic root of the Japanese race. So, who were the Yayoi? The Yayoi were known by early Chinese sources as the Hua, or Huajin, translating to land of dwarfs. By the 2nd and 3rd centuries BCE, the land of Hua was still without any civilizational social or political structure. It came closest under the supposedly legendary leadership of a tribal shaman woman. The Chinese referred to this woman as Himiko. We do not know if she really ever existed. The Hua had no written language, no advanced social, political, or religious system, no knowledge of the wheel, and with shaman priestesses as leaders, they also appeared to still have a matriarchal society. All these factors, we will come to see, are astoundingly common among all the world's pre-Aryan invasion populations. For Japan, in the 1st century CE, this was no different. Suddenly, in the 4th century CE, political centralization occurred. Metallurgical technology and weaponry hastened dramatically, and a complex, unifying national mythology was born. Almost overnight, horses arrived to the islands. Complex stone housing, a noble and warrior class social divide, and megastructures were made in the form of keyhole-shaped burial mounds known as kofuns. Aptly, this was known as the Kofun Period. The Kofun Period birthed the Japanese state. Two theories exist as to how this happened. The first is called the conventional theory. Gradually, the various Wa tribes unified, developed statecraft, learned horse riding, and gathered new religious ideas from trade with China. The second is controversial. It's known as Nammyo Igami's horse rider thesis. The Japanese state was founded by invaders. The invaders represented a race of horse-riding warriors from the Eurasian steppe, conquering from Manchuria down through the Korean peninsula and into the Japanese archipelago, establishing a noble class and seeding the imperial ruling, sun-worshipping dynasty known as the House of Yamato. Nammyo Igami's horse riders are nearly identical to the Aryan horsemen who founded all other ancient Asian civilizations. Stay tuned for part 2 of episode 2, Japan and Korea, where we will discuss in detail Igami's horse rider thesis, as well as how it relates to the origin of Korean civilization and the Scythian Central Asian complex.